for waiting. I'm so sorry.
I told him it was all your fault, that you refused to come out until you were ready.
The wizard is never late, but hobbits are, apparently.
Oh my gosh, thank you guys, thank you gentlemen for being here. I just want to start off super quick, and then we have a ton of people waiting for questions. But when was the last time you three were together? I always love to hear, you know, it's been so long since the movies.
Thursday.
I feel like, was it the,
Was it rap? When we rap? No.
Wasn't it like an anniversary magazine shoot that we did together? I think that was the last.
Was that the last time all three?
All
Because we do doubles, but we don't normally do triples.
Is that in your contract?
And we never do 4.
Yeah. Well, that would just break the world, break the internet, if we got everybody here at once. Well, let's get this started. Let's start right over here. Hey guys, what's up?
Oh, hey.
You're good. You're live.
Live mic.
If you could all act together again, would it be in a TV show or a movie, and what genre would it be?
It would be a play. When shall we three meet again?
Oh.
I think we'd do a bit of Shakespeare. We'd be the 3 witches in Macbeth.
My daughter just did that. She was like crawling on the ground and stuff.
Yeah, you would do
Back
that.
to crawl on the ground?
You're witch number
He always
1.
wants me to crawl on the ground. All right, Billy, I'll crawl on the ground.
Your daughter was just a witch, played a witch in Macbeth. How old is she?
21.
No, nice.
But that's flattering because you assumed, Allie, who played Eleanor in the Lord of the Rings and the third one in Return of the King at the end there. She's 21 now.
Oh, gosh.
In case you needed a benchmark on how far we've come.
Oh, gosh.
So she's at Harvard, and studying drama, and they did that, and she was Macduff's wife, is that a thing?
Lady Macduff, yes.
She was Lady Macduff, and she had to
She is, it's a horrible
rough.
scene.
It's rough. Yeah, there's a lot of screaming involved.
You're playing that part.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Elijah, have you ever done any classical theater, any Shakespeare like that?
Never done any Shakespeare, no.
Oh.
I've never really done any theater. I've just done these things called the 24-hour plays.
Yeah.
They do in London and New York and a few other places. Yeah, has someone seen it? That's crazy, but I've never done a play.
So that's it. We're bringing you guys back. We're going to revive Macbeth somewhere, and you guys will be the 3 witches.
If you're talking, do you have to say the Scottish play in this setting?
You know?
No, you don't have to. He plays fast and loose, man. Loom.
Hey, question over here.
Oh, hi. Okay, I can hear myself. Sorry. What's your favorite memory from when the 3 of you were working together on Lord of the Rings? Like your shared memory?
Sure, you have to mind meld and remember the memory that you all 3.
Well, even if you do something together, like there's so many. The first one that popped into my head was the sword training at the beginning when we were there for preparation, and Bob Anderson, the world-class sword master, was teaching us, and Billy and I were the best at it. Is that fair to say?
I think that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Elijah, you didn't take to the sword training right away?
I loved it. I loved it. God, there's so many memories though. I mean, yeah, the first 2 months of preparatory, that experience of rowing classes. They had us on this whole regime that was really fun. Sword fighting. There would be rehearsals. There was script work that we would do. We were spending so much dialect. We were spending so much time together, and then we'd have dinners together, and memories that stand out are going to the Chocolate Fish on a Sunday and hanging out, and the sort of the extracurricular activity.
That's a restaurant?
Yeah, the Chocolate Fish, which no longer exists. But
They were picturing like we'd go and talk to a large chocolate fish.
But yeah, I think some of my favorite memories are just spending time together. Surfing trips that we took while we were making the films.
We were always getting in and out of vans together. I think we probably got in and out of 4 trillion vans. And for a while, they were really trying to hide us from any people who tried to take a photograph. And remember, the internet wasn't even...
It was in its infancy.
It was like Napster and stuff, right? There was no, email was a thing. But, faxes were still a thing then. But they would put us in these robes with the hoods on them. And we have these booties, these big thick,
That covered our...
they covered our hobbit feet, which hot and sweaty. The idea was supposed to protect the hobbit feet, but really it just made them slippery and gooey. But anyhow, the four of hobbits and whoever else was in the van, we'd all pile out looking, I don't even know what we looked like, Jawas or something. You know, moving around.
Vaguely Jawa-esque, for sure.
I definitely remember looking and feeling like, oh, we're a team. This is a team. It's a weird team, but it's a team.
I have an image now in my head of just gooey hobbit feet. Those were like a hot commodity, the hobbit feet. I remember it was very like tightly under wraps. Like you couldn't get your hands on them, and not much. Did they survive? Did like have the hobbit feet? Have you taken some? Does Peter Jackson have some?
I have a pair at home that have actually survived.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. They're a used pair.
And then we all got hobbit feet that are brass or something that they poured into
Bronze.
the mold. Bronze. They are bronze, I'm told.
My
I used
toe
mine to
snapped
hold-
off on my bronze one.
Mine did too.
Really?
I was using it to hold open the door.
Yeah.
And it must have caught the toe.
The paint started to chip, and
Yeah,
I think I may have
oh,
lost
yeah.
the toe as well.
It's quite sad. Really.
We're not complaining. It was very nice of them to give it to us.
What
but it
seemed like a nice gift at the time.
was like giving you a sandcastle. Like, enjoy it. Oh, it's gone.
Hey, next question over here.
Hi, my question is for Sean, and I'm sorry to go off Lord of the Rings topic. I'm the 52-year-old birthday boy from earlier today.
Oh, yeah.
Photo op.
Dave, wait, what's your name?
Not Don, but John.
John. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear John. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. And my question revolves around a scene you filmed for Rudy, actually. And the reason I bring it up is because being my birthday, my bigger birthday is next month, and I celebrate that much more these days, and that's my 10 years of being sober. And so my question is about a scene in Rudy, draws from your emotions, because I use scenes in my life, a lot of scenes from movies motivate me, as well as the support and the help I get in my life. Scenes from movies, films, sports.
So what scene do you have in mind?
The scene in mind is about, in Rudy, when you're on the bench and you actually read the acceptance letter into Notre Dame. And I just know, I'm wondering what inspirations you felt when you filmed that scene, what were your motivations, and are there moments in your life where you felt feelings like I feel in terms of feeling strong emotions about...
Well, you and I are going to have like an hour session together where we lay down, but I think I can speak to what you're describing. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
I was having a hard time, when I got that part, the one deal I made with myself was that I wouldn't fake anything. A lot of times you can fake your way through certain things, and that was an emotional scene, and the director had said to me to go off by myself for hours. I wasn't allowed to talk to anybody for hours, and that was like torture for Sean. Sean's a talker, and so when I did that, and I read through the script a couple times, and then I was bored, and then I was kind of frustrated. But anyway, we get there, and we do the first take, and it's set up, the shot is set up where it's filming Holy Cross, and it's a crane shot, and he sits down, and when he gets in, it turns around, and it's now on the Golden Dome of Notre Dame, and there wasn't digital grading like there is now. They could maybe stop it up or down a little bit, but basically it was golden hour, and they wanted to capture the image when the sun was just hitting the dome.
Oh, Jesus, no pressure.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Pressure, yeah. So take one, nothing comes. Take two, nothing comes. And the director was so funny, David Answise, a world-class director. But he came up to me, and after the first two takes, he was very poised. He's very, he looked like he was playing the part of a director giving an actor a note. And I was just looking at him and trying to understand what he was saying, and it didn't work. Finally, we got to the fourth take, and they're going to lose the light. And he came up to me, and he looked in a panic. And he said, he was trying, he didn't have any more words. And he finally just said, "What are you afraid of?" And when he said that, I just started sobbing. And he's like, wait a second. A professional can actually control when this happens. And afterwards, I went running off, and the scene is over, and I was just sobbing for like 10 minutes, just like uncontrollable. He he unlocked something that was in me. My desire to be honest, and I was one of those kids who I try not to cry. I don't know if it's parents or whatever, but basically, as it relates to your thing, the idea that you're challenging your fear of yourself, your fear of what other people think of you, your fear of how you're going to navigate the world. If anything, what I learned from that scene, filming that scene as a human being, was that when you steer into the center of your own fear, boy, it means something to people. And I've, had for 30 years people feeding back to me how much that moment meant to them. So I'm sure you have that all the time, and I hope you continue to.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful. Thank you.
We were talking a little bit about scenes from movies inspiring people. Were there any things like from your guys' childhood or like early years growing up, like scenes you remember, or like movies and films that you remember that like really stick out as something that not necessarily affected you personally, but also inspired you to get into acting and to stick with film? Elijah, Billy?
God. For me, it was there wasn't any one film that inspired me to want to be an actor, but I loved film from a very young age.
Right.
I have an older brother who's 7 years older than me, and I had the benefit of having a brother that would break the rules and show me movies I wasn't supposed to see. I saw a lot of horror films at like 6 and 7 and 8 years of age. So big horror film fan, but then also things like, the Raiders of the Lost Ark, Star Wars, the typical touchstone, milestone films were hugely influential to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Billy, anything that sticks out?
Yeah, well, I suppose growing up in Scotland, I would watch like Back to the Future and Star Wars, and these were all great movies, and I loved them. But then there was a filmmaker called Bill Forsyth, a Scottish filmmaker, and I saw a movie of his called Gregory's Girl. And it's a great film. It's my favourite film, probably still today, because it was set in Scotland, and it was Scottish people having a normal life, having a football team, and a girl joins the football team, and it's how it affects everything, and the goalkeeper falls in love with her, and they're young people, and that made me think, wow, actors actually come from Scotland, and we can tell Scottish stories, It doesn't always have to be in a high school.
I saw Braveheart.
That was in Australia.
My island.
It is funny when you think of it the alternate way, right? Like that's what we think of Scotland is the movie Braveheart. That was the big thing, and then to see it alternately,
Yeah, that's how I see Scotland now. Is Braveheart.
Just people just warring back and forth.
Yeah, totally brilliant.
Hey.
Hi, I just want to say that I love you all, but my question is for Sean Astin. What was it like working on the set of Goonies as a child?
She's right there. She's red. She's kind of.
She's red.
Yeah.
It was exactly what I've been lucky enough to be in a few movies that really connected with people, and the interesting thing about it is usually what you see is what you get. When you look at Lord of the Rings, that sense of fellowship, like that sense of adventure of what was going on, like that's what it was like making the movie. It's captured on the screen, and it's the same thing with the Goonies. I was always annoyed because one of the things Richard Donner, the director, loved was that we were just normal kids, and so we'd all talk at the same time. But I really liked the dialogue, and you could never hear the dialogue because everybody's always talking at the same time. So, but no, I got to kiss the girl. We found a pirate ship. We rode our bikes on cliffs. It's pretty great.
Elijah, you had
That would be the greatest experience.
Yeah. Elijah, you had Flipper.
So
Flipper,
bad.
come
Come
on.
on.
Yeah, come on. No, I'm serious. No, that movie stood out for a lot of us.
Dolphins. That's fair. That is fair.
No, I would love to hear about you. Started really young as well, and I know we mentioned Back to the Future.
Was it in Goonies?
No,
But you worked with every major Hollywood star, starring opposite them for like 20 years before you were 20. How did that happen? Mel Gibson and Bruce Willis, right? Am I right so far? Bruce Willis, yeah. I mean, there's, I can't even go through all of them. I know Mark.
I don't need to, though.
Yeah, I could though, if I had time.
Was there one that stuck out though of all your films? I mean, I also love Huck Finn, big Huck Finn fan. Yeah. Getting started as a young child, you know what I mean?
Radio Flyer.
Oh my God, Radio Flyer. That's the one we're missing. There we go.
The thing that's advantageous about him is living life like that.
Yeah.
From one movie to another movie before you're even like, you know.
Yeah. But Radio Flyer is actually a great reference.
Yeah.
Because it was also Richard Donner that directed it. And that was a formative experience in my childhood. There was something of, that movie deals with fantasy as much as it deals with the reality of what's happening to my character's brother, which is obviously really horrible at the hands of our stepfather. Real abuse story. But it's also about their adventures and their spirit of adventure and the sort of fantasy life that they lead on the outside of that to sort of help the process of dealing with that family member. And so it felt like an adventure making that. We got to do so many fun things that had so much whimsy, and Richard is wonderful with kids, as you know. He loves them and is annoyed by them at the same time in like the most playful, sort of grandfather-uncle role.
Right.
I met Steven Spielberg while making that movie. He came to visit. George Lucas came to set to visit. That was a total dream experience.
Did I ever tell you the story about Steven Spielberg and Richard Donner and the Goonies after the movie? So Steven just all Dick could say through the whole end of the movie was, "I can't wait to get away from you brat kids." And he had a house in Maui. So Steven, based on a joke that Jeff Cohen, who played Chunk, he came to the set one day dressed like a tourist. And he was like, "Hey Dick, I'm going to come with you to Maui." And everybody's like, "Oh, that's funny." So Steven secretly sent us all to Maui. Yeah, he did. And somebody went shopping with Richard, with Dick Donner to the grocery store. And when he came back, we had all trashed his house. And that was like pretty great.
That's a good long joke.
That's awesome. Hey.
Hi, similar love to all of you, but my question's for Elijah.
Is that a Dirk Gently jacket?
It is! And we also found Amanda, so Amanda's right there.
Oh, dude, awesome. And Bart, too?
Bart?
Yes!
Yes. Well, my question is partially about Lord of the Rings and Dirk Gently. I found a lot of inspiration from Todd, especially the idea of taking control of your life, meaning changing yourself, not other people.
Yeah.
I was wondering if there was any bit of wisdom that you've taken with you and carried with you from one of your characters.
Oh, man.
No pressure.
Right. Directly inspired by a character? No. Although there's wisdom to extract from quite a few of them, Frodo certainly being one of them. And Todd to a certain degree. That's interesting. I never really saw him as inspirational. But
He's messed up but inspirational, yeah.
He sort of accidentally is.
Yeah.
He makes an effort and ultimately deals with his past, which is admirable. But no, I think I extract more from the experiences that I've had. I mean, each film, each project, each television show, it's all a life experience. And within that, there are lessons to be learned and there's growth to be achieved through the friendships, through the experiences, through the challenges. I think about that more than anything, just life and the awesome, incredible opportunities I've had to play these roles and to have these experiences that have all continued to propel me forward and to perpetuate, hopefully, constant growth.
I brought up something to you once while we're making Lord of the Rings from one of your characters that I took through my life since your character said it, and you couldn't remember your character saying it until I told you. It was it the Ice House?
Ice Storm.
Ice Storm.
The Ice
In the bathroom?
When your character says, when you smell a fart, you're actually tasting it.
That is true.
But it changed my life too.
Anytime you smell a fart, you're eating a fart.
Yeah.
You're saying fart. That's not what he said. It's worse.
Is it?
Yeah, he's referring to shitting.
Yeah.
It's the
And you
molecules
couldn't
in the
remember.
air.
And I remember when I brought it up to you, And you were like, no, I don't remember this. And I told you what you, and you were like, oh, it was as if it was the first time you'd ever heard it or thought about it.
Wow.
It was great.
It changed, you can't watch that scene. It's Ang Lee. You cannot watch that scene and ever go into like a 10K run and stop in the bathroom before you start the run and be the same way ever again.
Yeah.
Especially a porta potty.
Yeah, but yeah, because that's a lot that you're eating then. That's a meal in itself.
We have some pretty amazing words of wisdom so far. Elijah, you said continue on and you get to get something from all your different roles. Sean, you mentioned earlier about like playing things real. And then Billy, when you smell farts,
Yeah, thanks for that one.
you eat a fart. You know what I mean?
You smell a shit.
Yeah.
Eating shit. Or in Scotland we call it a jobby, which I think is a nicer word. Isn't it? I think everyone from now on, anytime you're talking about shit, say jobby, because I think that's nice.
Jobby, yeah.
Well,
jobby.
not once you know what it is.
But even still, I need a jobby. Sounds alright?
Sound alright.
I slipped on a jobby.
All right, let's move on to the next question. Right now,
Thank you.
hey, right over here.
Hi. I was wondering, where in Middle Earth would you guys most want to live?
The Shire. Good question. Always thinking about it.
Well,
The Shire is just...
Lothlorien's pretty cool up in the trees.
Well, even when you get hit with that loom.
No, that was terrible.
Did you hear about
Well,
that?
that was Rivendell.
Was it? No, that was Lothlorien, wasn't it?
Rivendell.
Was it Rivendell?
Yeah.
Did you hear about that?
No.
Bad story.
They make these beautiful, you know, all the scenery was amazing in these things, and they were all really made. It was just incredible, the artwork. And in Rivendell, there was a huge loom, wasn't there, that the elves, I suppose, were making.
The weaving thing.
Weaving.
It was set on these 4 delicate points. Huge loom, big oak cross beams on it where the yarn or whatever it is like that, and then tiny little points it stands on, so that with just a little puff of wind, it fell over and knocked me out cold. It sounded like a cricket bat hitting the back of my head. I've never been the same since.
A man with a thinner skull would have been killed. Look, there's a bubble.
There's a bubble.
Look at that.
Where did the...
touch it?
Wait, we need to save it. Eat it. Put it... Follow. Oh! Where did the bubble come from?
Why does that always happen?
That specifically? Bubbles come into your life like that?
Yeah, always. There's always a bubble.
To compensate for the jobbies.
There's always a bubble for every jobby, everybody. That's if we learn anything today. It had to be, tell us about the set. So you mentioned, oh my gosh, the beautiful artistry. To be able to walk into that, you know what I mean, and see those things. Have you been back since? I know they took it away and then they brought back Hobbiton, you know, and it's there. Have you been back to it? Have you seen it? Have you visited?
I've been back to Hobbiton, yeah. It's incredible. I mean, the only thing about Hobbiton that's a bit of a bummer is that they didn't build out the set of Bag End. But all of the facades of the Hobbit holes are there, and because after Lord of the Rings, after we wrapped those films, the facades had all been taken down. It was still opened up to be a tourist destination, but there were no facades, no doors. A lot of the landscaping had been changed, and then they came back for the Hobbit and renovated all of it, added new Hobbit holes that didn't previously exist, finished it all out, left it there, and then basically now you can visit it as it is in the films, which is really special. That's cool. But yeah, I mean, I think the most impactful set to be on was probably Bag End.
Yeah.
That was my favorite. Like, walking into Bag End, you could be in points of Bag End that had no reference to the fact that you were on a sound studio. It just felt real. It was so beautiful.
Yeah, and I think that's what adds ultimately to the magic of the films and your performances as well. So, I mean, man, a credit to all those artists and everybody that got together.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Hey.
I think my favorite is still Fellowship.
I like Return of the King.
So in Fellowship, I like the fight with the cave troll, because we all come together. In the Two Towers, the Helm's Deep battle, and Return of the King, all the stuff I get to do.
That was the correct answer. It was all three was what we were looking for, guys. Yeah. They're all... Was there, oh my gosh, Fellowship, right? They're coming all together, you know, Two Towers, it's kind of like everything's had a head. And then Billy, you get to sing in Return of the King, which is how did that come out? Because it's such a beautiful song that it led to, you know, the new song as well.
It was because of karaoke. We were in a karaoke bar with Philippa, one of the writers, and the next day I'd sang a song in karaoke, and the next day she said, would you like to sing a song in the movies, because we meant to put in more music and there's just not enough time, and I said, yeah, I'd love to. And they said, okay, we're going to get something written. And then they changed the timing, and we were going to film it in a couple of days, and they said, could you write something, a tune, that we can put it to a Tolkien poem? And yeah, so I wrote that tune, and then we... I thought that was it, coming on.
We're having all sort of otherworldly experiences right now.
That's so cool. And then if Denethor had arrived in a bubble, you know, like in Wizard of Oz, but dressed as the witch in Wizard of Oz.
It's such a beautiful, oh my gosh, it's such a beautiful scene, because we're cutting between you, right, singing that, and then we're immediately seeing Frodo and Sam, you know, having that emotional scene. And Sam, you're you know, providing us with these words. Had you heard the song? Did you know how it was sort of coming together? Because it's, in the end, my gosh, it's so beautiful with all of it kind of.
That was happening, I think, we were in a different location.
We don't split up then.
We were split up, so that whole process of that moment and then coming up with the song, we weren't around for that.
Yeah.
It was weird when we split up, like everybody.
I was going to ask about that, because you started off,
And
it was hard. We'd all gotten really close. It was really fun, and we all knew what we were doing, and everything was going great. And I was like, okay, fine. I didn't like it as much being apart. I mean, it was good. We got to be together.
Yeah.
He wasn't well most of the time, but that's all right.
The character, Elijah was
fine. Elijah was fine.
And Billy and Dawn got to spend all that time together as well.
Yeah, we got. In fact, one time, these guys were filming a lot of stuff, crawling up a mountain or something.
Just minor plot point,
Mostly it was just walking across the Shire and then walking across the mountain.
They were doing all that stuff. And they said, look, we need you guys to come to where they are, which was in the South Island, to do weather cover, because they didn't have any weather cover scenes to shoot. So they said, look, if it starts raining, we don't have anything to shoot with these guys, so could you come down and we can shoot you guys, you know, on Treebeard or something. I can't remember what it was. But they said, to be honest, we don't think we're going to use you though. The weather's going to be great.
Wait, was this when you were in Blenheim?
I can't even remember where it was.
You guys were staying in that house.
They said,
it's legendary.
We'll put you in a house rather than a hotel, and you can live together, me and Dom. There's their first bad idea. So me and Dom thought, yeah, it'll be great. We can like watch all our favourite movies, and so we just got like a crate of wine and we took all our DVDs of like Laurel and Hardy movies and all this, and no one came to see us for like 3 days. And we would sometimes go out to get a pizza or something, that was better. And end up the producer's assistant came and was knocking on our door. Remember?
Because losing it.
They thought there was something wrong with us. But me and Dom, we had video cameras and stuff, and we were making movies and all that, just the two of us. We spent 10 days or something, just the two of us together in this house.
It's like the Heart of Darkness.
It's so funny. At one point I got up, you know, just in the morning, and I came downstairs, and Dom's at the fireplace, smoking a pipe naked. he was filming me out in the garden.
This is taking a turn, man.
And I just started running, and he was filming me like this. And I don't know why, but I felt I was like Forrest Gump. I just started running, I couldn't stop. And I must have went for miles, because it's really flat. And he said I didn't come back for like hours and hours. I don't even know where I went.
We need to find this footage immediately.
And there is tapes.
There is tapes.
But it's never been seen. We don't know where they are.
Shortcut to mushrooms.
Here you were on set, you know what I mean, doing your
Daily responsibly, go on.
Yes.
Yeah, I think at that point we were like, on one rock set after another. Just, it's another formation of rocks.
Really heavy stuff. Real emotional.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, that's.
That is a reality show that somebody needs to find the tapes for right now.
Where could the tapes be? Where could the tapes be?
I don't know, but they were mine, so I've got them somewhere.
Right.
One day we will find them and release it as a documentary. 10 days in New Zealand.
It'll definitely be Heart of Darkness style.
10 days in New Zealand, Heart of Darkness. Hey.
Hi, this one's for Elijah.
Hey.
So, besides Lord of the Rings, I've also heard you in some animated projects, like Over the Garden Wall and Nine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I was wondering, what was your experience on voice acting?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I love it. I think a lot of that just stems from loving animation. As it pertains to those two projects specifically, I was just enamored with the art style of Nine. It was a short film that the director had actually done as, I think it was his college thesis, and he'd done the entire thing as a 20-minute short film. He did all of the animation himself. It took him like 2 or 3 years to do it. So seeing that as a proof of concept for what was going to be a feature film, I just wanted to be a part of what he was creating. Over the Garden Wall was really similar. I'd seen various drawings and the art style that they were going for, which was very much an old-fashioned sort of cel-animated style that felt like a return to a sort of style we haven't seen in a long time. And I love the story of these two brothers that get lost in this forest that seems kind of magical and mystical. So oftentimes the driver is ultimately the projects themselves, and I also like the isolation of it. I like being a character in a booth. There's a challenge to that too, trying to imbue life into something when you don't have the ability to be physical. But there's also something very freeing about it as well. I just love it. I love animation and I love the medium.
Sean, you've done, and both of you, Seed of Chucky, Raphael, of course, we know, and many other characters. Yeah, how do you guys think about that sort of difference between voiceover and film, being in a booth as opposed to being there live? And, do you have fun with it? Like, how is it?
It's the only time I've ever felt like I had a normal job. Because I live in Calabasas, and most of the recording stuff is done in Burbank. So I know this is like that SNL sketch, but if you take the 101 to whatever, but it's true. It's like it takes me about 40 minutes to get there.
Get off on Olive.
We did fine. Get off on Olive. Yeah, you're gonna take Victory over to Paul. Yeah. But like
just keep doing the sketch. We got it.
No, but we did 5 years of that. I did 2 years of Special Agent Oso, and I think we did 2 or 3 years of Banicula. And, and then a whole bunch of other little things that are in there. I mean, basically, what I like is something comes through the computer and says, okay, you're a crayon. Okay, you're an otter. Okay, you're a star. Okay, you're a whatever. And, like, whatever comes through, you're all of a sudden taking it very seriously. Like, well, no, this is the way the otter would work. Hold on, an otter, like, I know how this, and my kids come in and I'll work with them. And, they're very creative and their opinions are sharp, and so, Dad, that's not what a crayon would sound like. So I try, and like, I'm doing 2 shows now that I'm not allowed to talk about yet. So I just sent a text to my people, like, can I please talk about these shows? Not yet, but soon. So
I can't talk about too.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. But I mean, now when I was a kid, the idea of getting into voiceover animation work was the holy grail. And what they would always say is it's a kind of a closed community of people. And there is a shorthand between the directors and the engineers and the actors. And, it's different. It's different than other stuff you do. And I couldn't get work until and doing it 9 times or just knowing, like, when they're actually not quite sure what they want, to be able to anticipate and try to give it to them and then have them go yes, 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 or realize they don't like what you're doing, so try to back off a little bit. Don't let them think that you're like so married to it that it frustrates them. There's nuances, and it was actually doing the dialect coaching on Lord of the Rings that actually got me to hear Andrew Jack and Roisin Carty with the dialect coaches. And I finally, when I got back to LA after 2 years on Lord of the Rings, I started booking the parts before the movies came out. And it was like, because I could hear what they were hearing. Yeah. So I revere the fact that and now I know when I go into a room for a new show, I generally know 3 or 4 of the people. So I'm like in that closed group now. So I'm feeling like mic drop, walk off, home run.
You crush it. Well, gentlemen, unfortunately we're out of time. Billy, when you get the tapes, we're all going to get back here. We're going to watch it documentary style. Thank you for joining us on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, Kids in World Philadelphia.